Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Lex, and in today's video I figured I would give you guys an update on all of the Alocasia Jacklyn Corms that I have been growing. So just to give you guys some background on these Alocasia Jacklyn Corms, I do have my own plant store, and whenever I get Alocasias into my shop, I always check them for corms, and over the last few times that I've got them for the shop, I did have about 20 or so corms. So I have been growing a few of them for about 2 to 3 months now. A lot of them are on different stages of growth because I kind of just keep adding more into there whenever I have new ones. So quite a few of the Alocasias have actually sprouted and they are ready to be moved into their own vessel. So I grew all of the corms in the same environment. I kept them in this propagation bin here. I lined the bottom with perlite and then topped it with moss, and then I just buried all the corms in there, and whenever they grow I take them out. And a bit of a disclaimer before we start, I am not an Alocasia expert. They are actually one of my least favorite plants, and that's because I'm just not good with them. I love them, I think they're beautiful, but they're just not really for me. But I do know a lot of people like them, so I try to keep a few on the shop. So every time I have propagated an Alocasia, this is how I've done it, by just taking the corm and putting it in moss. I don't like moss at all. It's one of my least favorite substrates to use, but I do find that it works great for Alocasias. So this is really the only time that I use it. So they have been in this bin for a few months now, and since this is a clear bin, obviously the top of the moss is covered in algae. So if that grosses you out, you should skip this part, but that's just something that happens when you're using a clear container, but everything is okay. So here is what everything is looking like. As you can see, we have a whole bunch that have sprouted, and now they are all their own individual plants. Now down here is a bunch more corms that have just been popped in there. They're all at different growth stages. Some of them are sprouting, some of them are still rooting, things like that. So you can see on the side, you can see some of the roots here. You can see some more over here. So I just kind of wait until the plants have sprouted, and that's when I know that I should probably move them out into their own vessel. Since they are still pretty little, I don't want to fully put them in a 4-inch pot because I just feel like they're too small. So what I have here are these little plastic cups. I do reuse a lot of my plastic cups, but since I plan on selling these, I went ahead and purchased new ones because obviously I don't want to sell something in a used cup. Like, that's kind of nasty. So these are brand new, but they are specifically going to be used for plant propagation and things like that. But if you have a plastic cup at home that you don't want to throw out, I highly recommend reusing something that you already have. So my plan is to plant each individual Alocasia in one of these cups, and I think that what I'm going to do is take another cup and place it on top, and then just tape one of the sides so that it could just be its own little humidity dome. That's a good trick to do if you have a plant that you're trying to grow or a seed. You can put another cup on top and it will hold a lot of humidity doing it like that. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do with them today. And the substrate that I'm going to be using is perlite, and the reason that I'm going to be doing perlite is because a lot of them have already grown into the perlite at the bottom. So I figured that's an easier transition, and I'm going to pick off all of the moss, and also it'll be easy to ship the plants since they'll be in perlite. I don't want to pot them up in potting mix yet. I just don't think that they're ready for that yet. A lot of them look like they have really great roots, so I'm excited to see them. So what I'm going to do is just tilt the camera down so that you guys can see everything that I'm doing. So I hope that you guys can see exactly what I'm doing, but this is my bin of perlite. This is a coarse perlite that I sell on my website. So if you are looking for this size, I do sell it. I have been preferring coarse perlite over the more smaller ones. I just like this better. And I have rinsed this already. You should be rinsing your perlite before you use it because it's super dusty. Here is what everything is looking like. So this is about a few months of growth, and if you don't know, I hate moss. It's one of the worst substrates. I just hate it for me. Like, I just hate it. But for this situation, it works great. And I don't know what the hell is going on with this moss in particular, but I don't think I'll be buying this brand anymore. It keeps growing grass and it's really annoying. Anyway, the reason why it's all green is because it has algae. So what I'm gonna do is just try to pick out all the ones that have already sprouted. They are still pretty much babies, so they have roots, but it's not too much, so it shouldn't be too hard to detangle. But only the top layer really is moss, so it should be pretty simple. And that's why I line the bottom with perlite so that they can grow into the perlite instead, and it'll be just a little bit of an easier transition. So we have one here. Let's see, it's definitely grown quite a bit. And I'm just going to try to pick off some more of the moss. And I probably should have worn gloves because I did just do my nails. I hope you like them. but it's not too bad. I can just wash my hands after. So in case you've never seen what an alocasia corm looks like, it looks like this. It literally looks like a big seed, and that's how propagation for alocasias work. They grow from these bulbs or corms, that's what they're called, and they'll produce a new leaf. So whenever you're repotting your alocasia, you should look for these and then pot them into like moss or perlite, and then in a few weeks you'll start to see a new plant. I'm going to keep these for a few weeks, let them grow out a little bit more, and then probably after the new year you guys will see these on the shop and you'll be able to buy your own little Alocasia Jacklyn. I know that a lot of people like to have smaller plants versus really big ones, and right now all I have is like pretty big like alocasias on the shop. So I think this is just like a nice little treat for people to have a smaller alocasia versus a really large one. And this method also makes it a little bit easier on me so that I don't kill them, honestly, because I'm not good with alocasias. They are just really difficult for me, and I think it's 100% because I don't water them enough. They've been doing great in here, and that's because I keep it very moist and I keep the lid on it all the time. So I figured if I would do something like this, then they would continue to have a lot of humidity and I can keep them moist all the time. I'm not going to do any drainage in these because I'm just going to fill the cup with a little bit of water just so that I can feed off of it. I'll probably fill the water up to like here and then just refill as necessary. This is this one. It's got a little leaf there, and you can see its roots. We'll stick its humidity dome on, and then I'm gonna just tape the edge on this one side so that I can open it like this and add water when necessary. And this method is also really good for when you're shipping plants. If you're shipping like small specimens to like your friend or something, this is a great method to do it because the plant is completely protected in this little case. So we got one done. We have a few more to go. All right, so let's see what we got next. I'm gonna try this one. And luckily these are just coming right out. I don't have to like struggle too much with them. So this one is a single leaf, and here's its roots, looking really good, nice and fuzzy. That's exactly what you want to see. Scoop some perlite. So I know a lot of you guys really enjoy alocasias, and if you guys could leave in the comments maybe some tips for some people who are a little bit more inexperienced, I would really appreciate that, because like I said, I'm not that great with them. All I know is that I know that they like a lot of moisture and humidity, and that's kind of how I tend to care for them. However, I will say every alocasia I've put inside my Ikea greenhouses that have a lot of humidity, they didn't do well. So now I'm starting to think that, do they really like humidity? Like, I'm confused. So I'm not sure. I think that they like humidity when you grow it in your own environment, and I think that's why the corms do much better with me than the already established plants. I don't know. I'm like not 100% sure. But if you guys have any tips or advice for alocasias, please let me know in the comments for myself and anybody else who might be a little bit inexperienced, because sometimes alocasias can be a little bit intimidating. So we have our second guy in here. And what I'm going to do after the video is I'm going to fill the cups with water. I'm just not going to do it in the video just so I can save some time and move through them because we have quite a few. So moving on, let's see what we got. And some of them didn't fully make it. Some did. Like this one, for instance, is kind of like soggy on the leaf here, but it has great roots. So I'm still going to pot it, and it'll probably just lose its leaf and then produce another one. One thing I think, if I was to decide to get an alocasia in my collection moving forward, because I don't have any in my collection anymore, I think I would pot it in pond, actually. One of my friends I met on Instagram, Rhiannon, she has a lot of alocasias, and she's been potting them in semi-hydro, and they've been loving it. So I think if I was to get one moving forward, it would definitely be put into pond. Or if I transition one of the corms out of here, I would probably move it to pond, but I don't have any intention of keeping these for myself. So that's that. I don't know. Me and Alocasias, we don't get along. There we go. We have 3 done so far. And honestly, this is just such an easy method. Like, oh, and if you're looking for these cups in particular, I bought them on Amazon, so I'll link them in the description in case you want these ones in particular. I really like these. I bought these on a whim. Normally I get my cups from Target when I'm just there. Since I needed these kind of ASAP for this video, I bought these on a whim, and I think that they're perfect. Like, the length is perfect, and I love them now for this. And also in here are some like corms that are just starting to sprout, so they're just in here just growing, and I just honestly leave them alone. Like, I just don't even like care about them. I don't think about them. If they grow, they grow. If they don't, they don't. Like, that's just it. So we got another 1 leafer here with a little root system. Perfect. So there are tons of other ways you can go about your corms. You don't have to do it this way. Just do whatever works for you. If you like moss and you like this method, definitely replace the perlite with moss. That would work. I just don't prefer moss, and this is just easier for me to maintain them this way because I do have the shop, so I have a lot of plants on hand all the time. This is just an easier way for me to do it, and it's just a easy way for me to just care for them and then to ship them as is as well. So this is this guy here. Put his humidity dome on. And I love the humidity dome method. It just helps you keep all that humidity in its little container without having to need like a greenhouse or anything like that. This is just a great way to up that humidity if you're having a hard time. Put a plastic cup over your plant, or put some of your plants in like a plastic bin and put the lid on it, and you're good to go, really. This one actually has 2 leaves. So this one's been growing for a while. I think this is one of the first ones that I've had in the batch because it's looking really big. So let's take a look. I'm just trying to get some of the moss off, and luckily it's just sliding right off. It's not too much of a battle for me. This one is really nice. This one has 2 little leaves here. This is its root system. So depending on the roots and how developed they are, that's how I determine how high or high low I'm gonna pot them. So like this one has a lot, so I'm gonna pot it a little higher up so that it can grow down. But whenever it's time to like repot these guys, all I have to do is just put them higher up in the vessel or whatever. I wish that I actually was better at alocasias because they're honestly so beautiful. They just require a little bit more attention, I guess, and me being a anthurium or philodendron girl, I prefer like plants that are just a little bit easier in the long run. And then I'm just taping this side. And I only tape one side so that I can have easy access to the front like this with the sprayer, and then I can spray water in when necessary and then just close it back down. And it's also good to have one side open because then you can open it a little bit for some air as well. I do air out the little Tupperware bin about once or twice a day, or sometimes I'll just leave it cracked on the top so that it gets some airflow as well. All right, so we've got a couple more. This one also looks like it's a big guy as well. It's got a lot of roots. It's got 2 leaves growing on it. This is kind of satisfying, I'm not gonna lie. Oh wow, this one is really good. Yeah, this one is definitely one of the corms that I put in probably at the very beginning because of how well it's doing. I can tell that it's been in here for quite a while. So we got a nice size leaf here. Look at this guy. And then we got a little smaller one here. I think this one might have been the first leaf right here, and this is the newest. And here are the roots, really long, healthy, fuzzy, just how we like it. I need to learn how to get better with these alocasias. There are some seriously beautiful ones out here, especially variegated. Oh my goodness. The variegated alocasias are like to die for. It's just, there's no way that I could pay that kind of money for me to like kill it probably within the same week of me getting it, because I just know, like, I just know it's just not going to do good with me at all. I just seriously envy people who can care for variegated alocasias and like are willing to spend that kind of money for a plant that like is like kind of known for like dropping its leaves. Like, I envy those people. The variegated fry deck is so beautiful, you guys. Like, I'm obsessed with that plant, but I just know, like, I could never have that plant. Like, I could never spend that kind of money because I would just kill it. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So we got this guy in here. This one had a lot of roots, so you can see them. So far we've done 6. We got another one here with 2 leaves. And then honestly, I think that there's like at least like 10 or 15 more corms just spread out in here somewhere. So this one's got 2 leaves. This one is its newest. This is its oldest. This one's looking good too. And then just fill the top. Now, right now I only have Alocasia Jacklyn's. I have one Cupria on the shop. I didn't find any corms that time around with the Cupria, so it seems like every time I get the Jacklyn's in, they have a ton of corms, but the Cuprias never do. I think it's kind of weird, but I think they might be already harvested before they get sold. That might be what's going on, because like at one point I had like 30 something Alocasia Jacklyn Corms. Like, it was kind of crazy, and I've been trying to, you know, get different allocations in the shop, but it's just the fear of me not being able to care for them while I wait for them to sell. It's just, you know, these plants in here, these are for the shop, and I still have to care for them, you know? So I don't want to set myself up for failure and lose money because I'm buying plants that are in high demand, but I don't know how to care for them. So that's something that I have to think about. We got this one in here. Another thing I want to mention, when using the chunky perlite, when you're doing something like this, just be mindful of the roots, because the roots are really small. Just like try not to like crush them, because obviously the perlite is very chunky. It can break them. So just be really gentle when you're using chunky perlite. So we have 2 little ones left. We've got this little guy here. He recently sprouted, I think. And it was a small corm as well. So we have this little tiny guy. Look how cute. Little tiny roots. This method that I'm using, I've done this before. This is like really the only method that I do now for alocasias, and it works great for me. It might not work for you, but just do whatever you want. And then we have one more, which is also a little guy as well. So we have this little guy in here. We've got this little one. It's very tiny. It has a new leaf coming in. Maybe you can see it. Also, I apologize if the lighting is in and out. It's sunny, but the sun keeps going behind the clouds. It's been real gloomy here lately, and I just can't find the best time of the day to record, but I do have my studio light on. All right, so this is our last one, and this one is a super tiny guy. And basically what I'm gonna do with these is give them some water. I'm gonna fill the water like 1/3, 1/2, and then refill it when the water has dried up. So this side was where all of the Alocasia Jacklyn's were that were already sprouted. They were over here, so they're gone. But now on this side is actually all the rest of the corms that are still growing or have just been put in here. So this is what they look like, and you kind of just tuck it in the moss or the perlite or whatever you're using, and then it'll just start to grow roots, and then eventually a leaf will come out, and that's how you propagate alocasias. Very simple to propagate, especially when you're doing this type of method, when you're just keeping them in a bin and putting a lid over it and keeping it moist. They'll grow on their own. You really don't have to care for them. You kind of just forget about them. But yeah, we have about maybe 10 or 15 more spread out in here. So once they all get going, I will be doing the same thing, and then they'll be on the shop, and it'll just be like a kind of a rotation that I have going on. So here's all of the little plants. They are all at different growth speeds because obviously some were put in sooner than later. I'm pretty pleased with how a lot of them have turned out. So the bigger ones like this, you'll probably see them within the next few weeks after the new year on the shop. So in case you are interested in one of these little Jacklyn's, they will be on my shop probably soon. So make sure you go to my shop site and sign up for the mailing list, because everyone that's on the mailing list always knows first when restocks are live. So if you're looking to get one at this size, make sure you do that. So I'll definitely be giving you guys a little bit of updates on them in the next few weeks as well. You'll probably see updates in my shop vlogs that I do on my channel. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this little sit down video while I did some plant chores, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!